It's 6 o'clock. Hello and welcome to the morning news here on 3FM 92.7. This news is also live on KSP 107.1 FM. I am Enyonam Haligah. Coming up this morning, international relations expert Vladimir Egbeta hails President John Mahama's UN address as bold, urging Africa to push for real reforms at the United Nations. Also, new reports reveal that stigma and discrimination continue to limit access to healthcare, education, and jobs for persons with albinism in Ghana. And much later in this bulletin, Gridco raises alarm over illegal mining near transmission lines, citing attacks on staff as a growing danger. We have news of these and other stories. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now to our first story. International relations expert Vladimir Egbeta has described President John Dramani Mahama's UN address as bold, highlighting the Gaza crisis and criticizing the U.S. for sidelining Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas. The comment follows a call by the president of the UN General Assembly for Africa to give a permanent seat at the council, among other demands.
It's a bold speech.
The denial of visas to President Abbas and the Palestinian delegation sets a bad precedent and should be deeply worrying to all member nations of the United Nations. Ghana recognized the state of Palestine in 1988 and supported a two-state solution to the conflict since then. And I say, contrary to the claims of some, a two-state solution would not be a reward for Hamas. It would rather be a reprieve for the hundreds of thousands of innocent women and children and people who are facing collective punishment and forced starvation for no reason other than the fact that they are Palestinian. For nearly 2 years and for the fear of reprisals, we here in this General Assembly have been playing hide and seek with language to find the right words to help us avoid or excuse what we all know is taking place in Gaza. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter what you call it. If it looks like a duck, it swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, well, then it must be a duck. The crimes in Gaza must stop. The crimes in Gaza must stop.
President John Dramani Mahama, the now international relations expert Mr. Egbeta, praised the president for his speech and said the repeated breaches of the UN Charter has gone unchecked by powerful states, reducing such speeches to mere lamentations.
It's a bold speech. In fact, Sarkozy himself was very much worried as to what he said and said Trump was angered by what he said, and he had to walk 30 minutes across the street. It's unfortunate that what is happening in the world today is because of the inaction of member states who are big powers. And the president made it clear what is happening in Gaza. A spade must be called a spade, and he made it clear. And I think I drop my hat for him for making it clear that what America did to Abbas was not acceptable. What the Charter says, the Charter infringement is so glaring. So he made it clear. Our problem only lies in the fact that no matter how bold you are in talking about the United Nations, it becomes mere lamentations. Yes, Ghana recognized Palestine as far back as 1998. So we were far ahead of those countries which are now recognizing Palestine. And recognition means nothing. Today it doesn't. Why? Because we must carve the place for the Palestinians. We must have a territory. We must go ahead and get a territory for them, spell out the boundaries, and make sure that Israel is moved away from that territory. We haven't done that. And so it becomes mere lamentations. The question about the charter and the veto is not the first time. Kofi Annan brazenly created a situation where he redefined security in such a way that Africa also participated. I remember most of us were part of the making of Ghana's position, which was adopted at Izulwini. The Izulwini consensus is the African position. And then we were talking about the veto. It became lamentation. It was thrown away. Why? Because there's a catch-22 over here. And President Mahama must lead Africa to clear away the catch-22.
International relations expert Vladimir Enyonam. They're now still on the 80th UN General Assembly. Political analyst Jonathan Asante says African leaders often give strong speeches at the United Nations, but very little action follows.
I think that when it comes to the United Nations and the presidents that deliver various speeches, I think that they've all given some form of flamboyant speeches over the period. What remains to be done is the action bit. And an African continent in which even within West Africa, going to another West African country becomes a problem. And we still talk, on big issues. In actual fact, the issues that our president, has delineated over there, of course, they are spot on. In a situation where we all don't have the same rights in terms of vetoing, then it means that it's a bit problematic. But the other aspect of the same point, which I look at it from a cynical perspective, is the fact that if you do not put in much, if you don't have much to give at that place, then I'm not too sure you'll be among those who call the shots.
Political analyst Jonathan Asante Otri. Then, now moving on, management of the Ghana Grid Company have raised serious concerns about the growing threat of illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, describing it as one of the major challenges facing the company. Officials say that the illegal miners operating near power transmission lines have become increasingly aggressive, with repeatedly attacking and even shouting or shooting at the grid personnel while they carry out maintenance work. My colleague Joseph Armstrong has the rest of the story.
Management of the Ghana Grid Company made this revelation during a working visit of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Energy to some energy agencies Thursday, September 25. Management of the company bemoaned the impact of illegal mining operations near power transmission lines.
In fact, it's near disaster because as we talked about, the line right of way, you need to clear it so that when you need to do maintenance on the line, you can go there. Now, the right of way clearing becomes lucrative to galamseyers. And in a number of areas, our people go and see that overnight, people come and do their galamseying activities very close to our towers. Now, the towers, you see them as just steel members, but they are carrying a lot of forces and weights, and so the foundation is really calculated. In fact, they do a lot of studies on the ground to design. Every tower foundation is different depending on where it is, and I'm sure these galamseyers don't know, but as you encroach close to the lines, we are coming to the point where, in fact, there are some towers that we have had to rush in to do some intermediary reinforcement. Unfortunately, there are some areas that even when our maintenance teams are going, they get shot at, and some of them have had to run away. And so we are trying to see and leverage and get engaged, because those areas is getting to points where RICO alone cannot manage. And so we need support from all the forces to be able to.
They also pointed out that GridCo is dealing with issues such as land encroachment and the high cost associated with paying compensation to landowners and farmers, which continue to place a financial strain on the company. In response, Chairman of the Parliamentary Energy Committee, Emmanuel Bedra.
That was a report by my colleague Joseph Armstrong. That's the first half of this morning's bulletin. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com. I am Enyonam Haligah. Michael Obodu comes your way with business.
And hello there, good morning and welcome to the Business News on Sunrise. Coming up, National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program proposes STEM and digital skills to tackling youth unemployment.
NEIP as a government institution is committed to ensuring that such skills can be translated into enterprise development, job creation, and national impact.
Meanwhile, a financial expert warns against government creating direct jobs for the unemployed youth.
With an important injunction, the government cannot and should not attempt to provide jobs for all these people. That's not the responsibility of the government. That's the responsibility of the private sector.
Plus, government seeks 5.58 billion cedis today from Treasury Bill auction to ease debt pressures. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. The National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program says a strategic blend of STEM and digital skills training could help Ghana make significant progress in tackling unemployment. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, 1 in every 5 Ghanaians aged 15 to 35 is currently unemployed, a situation stakeholders have described as a ticking time bomb with implications for national security.
As Ghana confronts rising youth unemployment, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and digital skills training are being positioned as part of the solution. These disciplines equip young people with the tools to succeed in a technology-driven economy, unlocking opportunities in software development, data analysis, renewable energy, robotics, and digital entrepreneurship. Speaking at the launch of the Digital Innovation and Vocational Employability DIVE training program by the British Council, NEIP CEO Eric Mawuena reaffirmed his agency's commitment to supporting initiatives aimed at reducing unemployment.
NEIP as a government institution is committed to ensuring that such skills can be translated into enterprise development, job creation, and national impact. What excites me about this program all is about its practical nature.
British Council Country Director Ni Dodu said the DIVE program goes beyond skills training with a core focus on creating meaningful employment for its 80 graduate beneficiaries.
Let me emphasize that the ultimate objective of this is jobs. And I'll be frank with you, there's a lot of training that goes on. Everywhere you pass, one person or one organization or the other is having a training for young people. And in the end, it's those who train who make money.
That was British Council Country Director Ni Dodu speaking there. Meanwhile, financial expert Joe Jackson warns against government trying to create jobs for all these people directly. Instead, he argues that government's role should be to create a conducive environment for the private sector to thrive and generate the necessary employment opportunities.
Job creation should be number one on our agenda. Job creation should be an issue that should burn us up day in, day out. With an important injunction, the government cannot and should not attempt to provide jobs for all these people. That's not the responsibility of the government. That's the responsibility of the private sector. That's the responsibility of SMEs. What the government should do is to keep a stable, even play field so that private institutions, SMEs, can thrive and create the jobs that they need to. Otherwise, all that will happen will be variations of the same thing that you've done before. The government creates all these pretends to employ. The young people also pretend to work, and they pretend to get paid. And the job vanishes as soon as there's a regime change. And half the time, their payment is in huge arrears.
Joe Jackson is a financial analyst. Now, government is targeting to raise 5.58 billion cedis today from the issuance of 91, 182, and 364-day Treasury bills. This ambitious target underscores government's continued reliance on the domestic short-term debt market to manage its maturing obligations and ease financing pressures. This 3 Business News Desk report has the details.
The move follows a successful Treasury bill auction last week, on September 19, 2025, where government managed to raise 3.43 billion cedis, surpassing its target of 3.01 billion cedis. This reversal of a weeks-long trend of undersubscribed auction has likely boosted government's confidence in the market's capacity to absorb the higher value offerings this week. Government seeks to raise 5.58 billion cedis today to ease debt pressures. While a strong showing in these auctions can provide government with much-needed liquidity, it also highlights Ghana's dependency on short-term debt to meet its financing needs. This strategy, while effective in the short term, requires continuous market confidence to be sustainable. Ghana's sovereign bonds are currently performing well, with the S&P Ghana Sovereign Bond Index up 68.4% year-to-date. This rally is fueled by high domestic coupons and recovering investor confidence, which has been buoyed by fiscal consolidation and an IMF-backed program.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation says Ghana must scale up investment in the upstream petroleum sector to attract the capital needed for growth. Over the years, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, has raised concerns about declining revenues in the oil and gas industry, attributing the trend largely to a lack of strategic investment aimed at maximizing returns. Speaking at the Africa Oil Week, the GNPC boss, Kwame Nto-Amoah, emphasized the need for Ghana to invest in acquiring critical geological data to strengthen its position and unlock the full potential of its oil fields.
We've been focusing a bit too much on the fiscal elements, but the work that the country itself has to do to ensure that the geology is known. If we don't have it, we know it. If we have it, we know it. And to what extent? So I believe that the country itself has to make some investments to make the oil and gas province attractive. And it goes even more beyond just those little investments. We need to be bold enough to acquire significant data. As I said, the last licensing round suffered from lack of data in certain areas. We need to make those investments. The investments that we're making in infrastructure development is essential to getting investors here. They find a lot of gas in the middle of nowhere. There's no infrastructure. Then we are not attractive.
You heard the CEO of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, Kwame Nto-Amoah, speaking. We'll turn our attention now to the currency and the commodities market and bring you updates.
On the interbank foreign exchange market, the dollar is selling at 12 cedis 36 pesos. It gained 3 pesos. The British pound is selling at 16 cedis 50 pesos. It lost 5 pesos. The euro is selling at 14 cedis 43 pesos. It lost a peso. However, be guided that these figures could be higher at a forex bureau near you. On the global commodities market, Brent crude is trading at $69.22 per barrel. Gold is trading at $3,740 per ounce, up by 4 cents. Cocoa is trading at $6,925 per ton, down by $132.
And those were updates from the currency and the commodities market, bringing an end to the business news on Sunrise. For more business stories, please visit our website at 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.